to talk to your child about the passing of a loved one and 13 steps to help your children move through grief. Number 1, keep it simple, warm, and truthful. When my husband passed, the youngest of our 4 kids were 3. The oldest 3 were in their teens, and they were from my first marriage. So Tom was their stepdad. They had very different relationships with him, very positive in their own right, but just different. The youngest, however, was the only dad that, of course, Lucas had ever known, and he was only 3. And children under the age of 8 do not grab concepts that are abstract. So this was a very difficult idea for him. The best thing you can do is to just come out and say it, and it was what I did with all 4 of them. Simple, warm, and truthful. Honey, I don't know how to tell you this. It's really hard, but Dad died. Daddy's not coming home. Now, that brought up the next question. Where is he? That one, I kind of wasn't prepared for. So I asked my parish priest, Andrew, what could I do? What do I say? I don't have an answer for that one. And he said, tell him that he can't see him right now, but someday he will. You see, if I told him about heaven, that Daddy's in heaven, which I'm not even sure is completely in line with what I believe, but then it would leave me to have to answer, well, what's heaven? You see, I believe that there is energy that exists and who we are before we enter this body, and that energy exists when we leave. But I can't tell you where it goes, what it looks like, or how it feels. It's just not in my sphere. So I don't want to lie to my child. But I could find a way to tell them the truth as best as I understood it. You can't see him now, but you will one day again. Number 2, listen and comfort. It's pretty simple. They just want you to hold them, to hug them, tell them it's okay, and validate their feelings. It's something you're probably going to do naturally. It's the same thing you want. Number 4, you express yourself with those feeling words. Now, I just recently heard that most people wander around only able to identify 3 feelings with words. Let's make sure that we express as best as we can with feeling words: sad, anxious, depressed, even traumatized, shocked, numb. I mean, I can go on, but I think you get the idea. Make sure you use those words and make sure that you give them sort of a context so that when they're expressing how they feel, you can help them fill in the blanks. Help them learn how to express themselves. 4, give your child advance warning. So children don't like change. They like structure, they like stability, they like routine. But now that's going to be right out the window. There are going to be gaps and holes in their structure and their routine. If they're used to dad making breakfast and dad's no longer there, then explain to them, I'll make you breakfast and then I'll be taking you to school. Explain the changes that are coming. Number 5, the events. So triggers and such are going to happen, but you can plan a lot for them. And we've talked about that in my other programs. Plan triggers so that you have joy put in, or at the very least, explain to kids what's going to happen. So for example, if this is right after and you need to get them through the next week, which is, possibly a viewing, family gatherings, maybe it's the celebration of life or funeral service, the graveside service, prep your children for what those events are and what they mean. Give them an idea of what to say when people come to them and say, I'm sorry for your loss, or how you doing, kiddo? Give them the words so that they're not at a loss. This really is how we teach people how to deal with grief. And number 6, give your children response answers to those things and questions and comments that people are going to make. For example, you know somebody's going to say, "I'm terribly sorry for your loss." Teach your child to say, "Thank you. I loved my mom very much. It's nice that you came." Something along those lines. But basically, give your child age-appropriate responses for them so that they understand how to respond to other people. Make it sincere, tell them what they can say if they want to say, and then let them kind of work from it from there. But just don't let them kind of freewheel it, because again, it just won't give them that sense of security. This is too new. You kind of want to give them the idea that there's a plan and a way to go through this. It will be comforting. Give your child a role, something to do. Now, this of course is age, variant, depends on the age of your child. But I know when my husband passed, my children I had twins that were 19 and their brother was 18, and they were lost. And they spent a lot of time in the bedroom. They just didn't know how to be around people, and they wanted to withdraw, and it's perfectly natural. My other son was totally different. He wanted to be around, and he would play, and then he would stop, and he would remember, and then he would come to me, and he would be upset, and I would have to talk to him and comfort him. And then he would say, "Okay, I'm fine," and I go on again. It was really easy for him to then keep himself busy. But that wasn't the case for the older 3. They were lost. There were people in the house milling about, friends of mine that they didn't know very well. And they're all there to comfort them, and they know that, but they just can't handle all the people. But what did prove helpful was giving them a role. So in preparation for the celebration of life, I knew we needed somebody to do the portraits, the slideshow. Well, this is right up teenagers' alley with the tech, and it helped them as they were going through the pictures remember all of the great moments that we had together as a family, and it gave them something to do. Okay, so you can have them, read a poem, you can have a song to be played, maybe they're musical that way, maybe they can do some more different little gatherings, like we had a table full of objects that my husband, liked and was associated with, and we had that all arranged. But have them make something, but just let them decide how they want to take part of something, and give them that moment to express and a role in this really difficult time that also, in a sense, helps distract them. Number 9, help your child remember the person. This can be a little bit complicated. So, for example, after my divorce, my daughter had this picture of her and her dad, and he had been tying a fly with her. It was her very first. And she was so distraught about the grief from the divorce that even though her dad was alive, she had the picture on the wall beside her bed, and she would cry every single night. And I realized, you know what? That is not a remembrance. That is a shrine. And a shrine is not a healthy thing, in the sense that if it drags you into the death and not into the life, it's the wrong tool, right? So I had suggested to her, "Alex, we need to take these photos and we need to just put them away in an album until you can look at them again with joy and remembrance. And just know your dad is only a phone call away." Now, when the dad has passed or the mom has passed, it's a different thing. I'm really grateful that we have video, because I have some really awesome videos of Lucas and his dad, and of us on vacation as a whole family. And we will share these, especially at certain times, at anniversaries or holidays and things like this. And we encourage those conversations. And when we're at, say, like the soccer field, and Lucas has done something and he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips, I have no problem saying, "You know what? I'm pretty sure your dad is proud of you right now. I'm pretty sure he saw that and he's pretty darn proud." So just always make that connection so that they know that that person is not a taboo subject. They're still a part of our life in memory. And we can bring that with us like a backpack moving forward through life. It doesn't have to feel like a shrine or an albatross and an ode to death. We want these things to be ode to life. Number 10, help your child shift. So what do I mean by that? Well, as I said earlier, my youngest was really good at this. So for the first 6 weeks, his emotional state was a little tough. There was some trauma involved. He actually was there when his father passed. And it left him with about 6 weeks of night terrors. However, in his waking hours, he was a complete natural at grief. He would come and express himself, and then he would shift. He would go, okay, I'd like to go play with toys now. I'd like to go build my trains. And I would say, absolutely, go build those trains, have fun. And I'm here if you need any more, help today, or call me if you need a little track put together, or maybe we should play with that together. But if your child has hard time shifting, like my older daughter did after my divorce, again, you have to kind of come in and say, okay, what is the end result of this practice right now? Are we stuck in that one event, the death, which I'm not trying to downplay, big deal, but it doesn't help you move forward. So honor the feeling, say absolutely, it's okay, take a minute, breathe out, help them learn to let go. We all know that's a physical process. So give them something maybe to do, like draw a picture, go for a walk, throw a ball at a wall, something to go and cry. I always love a good hard cry, and I suggest it for my girls on occasion when I need it, and my sons, although I know they're probably not going to tell me anything about it. But then help them to say, and then when you're done, come, let's make some cookies in the kitchen, or let's go outside and go for a bike ride, or why don't you come and help me plan what we're going to do this weekend? Let's do something great, right? Help them shift. Number 11, give your child time to heal. We all do this at different states. And as I said, it depends on the relationship that the child has with the parent. If it was a step parent, if it was a young child versus an old child, could be 40 years old. I just lost my dad. I can tell you right now, it's a different process for me than it was for my children when they lost Tom. So you need to make sure that you're patient and that you're understanding and that you can give them that kind of time. Also, in a small microcosm moment, if they're struggling with something, if they've just been triggered, see if you can sort of extricate them from the situation or distract to give them that moment to recover. They need time, just like all of us. Number 12, seek help when you need it. After my divorce, I know I called the school right away and I said, look, here's the situation. The kids are going through some grief. They're going to need to speak to somebody. Now, my 2 daughters climbed right in. They thought it was great. And my son, not so much. It took him a different route to get the help that he needed. And that's okay. It's not right for every single person in that single way. So there are options as you go through. My youngest, after his father died, decided to find a play therapist because, of course, he was only 3. So that was a good route to start a little bit of work on some of the trauma that he had experienced and the change that was going on in his life. So where you can, seek help. Number 13, last but not least, 2 of my favorite books and 2 of Lucas's favorite, The Goodbye Book and It's Tough to Lose Your Balloon. These are 2 really great books. This one by Todd Parr, who's a really, really funny writer who took on a really challenging topic. And Jarrett J, I'm going to butcher this name, Krashka. Anyway, there are a ton, and I'm going to leave a link below for lots of books that can help you and your child deal with those feelings of loss and sadness and help them to sort of recover. If you'd like to learn more, you know that you can subscribe here to the Dandelion Way, like and share if you know somebody that could also use this information. And of course, my new program is coming out soon, so look for the advertisements for that. And that is specifically the Dandelion Way, Thriving as the Surviving. So if you want to know more hints and tips about how to get through grief as a widowed parent, yes, please consider signing up to the course. More information to come. Thank you for joining me here today on the Dandelion Way. Good luck, God bless, love and light.